They thought they could bully me like any other neighbor, but when Karen, from the HOA cut my lock and tried to tow my Jeep, she didn't know it wasn't just mine, it was a fully equipped undercover police task force vehicle on an active operation. By the time she realized, the feds were already on her front lawn, and the HOA's little empire was about to crumble. Stick around until the end. This story gets insane, and if you love true, jaw-dropping war revenge tales, hit that subscribe button because you won't want to miss what I pulled off next. I had just gotten back from a grueling week working with a joint task force, one of those operations that you can't talk about at dinner because even your best friend wouldn't believe half of it, and all I wanted was to park my task force Jeep, grab a cold drink, and sleep for 12 hours straight. The Jeep wasn't just any Jeep, it was a fully loaded, matte black beast with reinforced panels, concealed storage compartments, encrypted comms gear, and more tech hidden in it than most people had in their entire house. We used it for undercover ops in rough neighborhoods, and the only reason I had it with me that week was because our base garage was undergoing renovations, so the lieutenant signed off for me to store it at home under absolute secure conditions. I rolled it into my driveway, threw on a heavy-duty padlock and chain around the gate, and went inside without thinking twice. That's when the trouble started. By 8 a.m. the next morning, I was woken by the unmistakable metallic clank of someone tampering with my lock. Groggy but alert, I peeked through my blinds and nearly spat out my coffee. There she was, Karen, the self-appointed queen of our HOA, bleach blonde hair bobbing in the sunlight, standing next to two hired tow truck guys who looked more confused than a cat in a bathtub. She had bolt cutters in her hands. My lock was already on the ground. In a voice so loud I'm sure half the neighborhood heard, she yelled, "This vehicle violates HOA Code 14B, non-standard commercial vehicles are not permitted. Remove it immediately." I stepped outside, keeping my cool, and told her she was making a huge mistake, but Karen smirked like she'd just caught me smuggling a circus elephant. "Rules are rules," she chirped, motioning to the tow truck. That's when I dropped the bomb. "Karen, that Jeep is property of a police task force. It's not subject to your petty HOA rules, and touching it is a federal offense." Her smile faltered, but in true Karen fashion, she doubled down, claiming, "That's just a story you made up to park your ugly car here." The tow guys hesitated, but Karen waved a clipboard in their faces, insisting she had authority. Against my explicit warning, they hooked the Jeep and started pulling it out. That's when the real chaos began, because I'd already hit speed dial on my secure phone, and in less than 5 minutes, 3 unmarked black SUVs screeched into the cul-de-sac, sirens muted but lights flashing. Out stepped my task force captain, 2 DIA agents, and a very angry federal property officer. The look on Karen's face was priceless, like someone had just told her Starbucks ran out of pumpkin spice. The agents surrounded the Jeep, demanded the tow guys unhook it immediately, and then informed Karen that tampering with an active undercover operations vehicle carried potential felony charges, obstruction charges, and, thanks to the encrypted equipment inside, possible national security violations. She tried to stammer an apology, but the captain wasn't having it. "Ma'am," he said coldly, "you just compromised an operation that took 6 months to set up. You will be hearing from federal investigators." Within hours, word spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. But here's the twist. The investigation didn't stop at Karen. The HOA's financial records came under scrutiny because, as the task force dug deeper, they discovered suspicious cash withdrawals and maintenance invoices for projects that didn't exist. Turned out Karen had been siphoning HOA funds for years, padding fake vendor payments, and funneling them into a personal account. The tow guys, they ended up flipping on her in exchange for avoiding charges, revealing she'd paid them under the table multiple times to remove vehicles she didn't like from driveways, often targeting homeowners she was in disputes with. It became a full-blown fraud and racketeering case. The feds froze the HOA's bank accounts. Karen was led away in handcuffs 2 weeks later, and every homeowner suddenly found themselves HOA fee-free as the board was dissolved entirely. The cherry on top, the Jeep was never removed from my driveway again. In fact, the captain told me to keep it in plain sight for the rest of the month, just to send a message. Neighbors I'd barely spoken to before came by to shake my hand, some even bringing baked goods as thanks for taking her down. As for me, I slept like a baby that night, padlock secure, Jeep untouched, and the ghost of Karen's horrified expression burned into my memory forever. And yes, there's more where this came from, so if you think this was wild, you'll want to subscribe, because the next HOA that tried to mess with me Well, let's just say they didn't know I had the Department of Homeland Security on speed dial.